Man, Mach Hommy graces with a straight up gem of a project with this new Dump Gawd Triz Nathaniel EP. 4 songs, less than 10 minutes. These niggas clearly had fun with this album. The title itself is a reference to a hilarious Big Pun skit where he was calling Running Train a Triz name or Triz Nathaniel. The album cover of this thing is just ignorant. There's a song on here called Eskimo Bros, and like the punchline of the whole thing is it's produced by Conductor Williams because you got a train and you got a conductor. Come on, man, the wordplay don't stop. But hey, what ain't a joke though is the production on this thing, because the instrumentals here are sick. Sonically, this thing sounds like a mix between the Conductor produced tracks on Pray for Haiti and the Conductor produced tracks on Pray for Paris, where you got these bright, lush instruments like what was on Pray for Haiti, and then that's mixed in with the signature distorted sound on a song like Eurostep from Pray for Paris or a Michael Irvin or Frank Murphy. Yeah, I think Conductor Williams really lives up to his name as the whole thing sound like he's the conductor of some twisted orchestra from hell. On the rap side of this thing, it definitely feels like a collaborative album. Mach is on 50% or less on every single song on this album. You got Jay Nice, who has a verse here. The original Dump Gawd, the God Fahim, is on 3 tracks here. And then you got the Dump Gawd, your old Drug, who has 50% of a song here as well. Thankfully though, the features on here are very solid at worst and fire at best, like the case with Drug's feature. That said, I say Mach Hommy is definitely the best rapper on this album. His rhyme schemes on here are stunningly good. They're effortless. And he has the most clever brags and wordplay laced throughout the whole album. Now, I do need to point out that this album isn't nearly as accessible as a Pray for Haiti or a Blends Cho. On those 2 albums, you can pick up some of the standout punches, even on the casual listens. But with here, you're going to have to really sift through it. The material here is much harder to digest and much more dense. And I think some of this is by design. I think that the way that Mach Hommy justifies some of these outlandish album prices, this one being $222, is by layering it with so much complexity that the replay value of the album skyrockets, because each time you re-listen to it, you're catching another gem and catching more and more meaning. But I say all that to say that your enjoyment of the album is going to be in some part dependent on how willing you are to really sit with and study lyrics like you're going through a college midterm, or how willing you are to just enjoy the impressive lyricism and flows on this thing. But getting into the track list, the opening track, Frenet Bronca, opens with these dizzying keys. It has a nice bass line and some subtle drums. Jay Nice put himself on my radar. He opened with a pretty strong verse. He had some thought-provoking lyrics. It was semi-conscious, but it was a lot of pro-black references and imagery, and it was really technically sound as well. Just floating through these 3 and 4 syllable rhyme schemes. The God Fahim added a very solid 8 bars here. He had a fast-paced flow that really went over well in my opinion. Then Mach batted closer, and he put on some really impressive lyrical acrobatics with his verse. I will say his lines here though are the most obscure on the entire album, and I'll say they were a bit too cryptic for my liking. I mean, check these lyrics out. I'm paying $20 to anyone who can decipher this one for me. They said the bread was unleavened. How was I supposed to know they switched the lead with unleaded? The head was come get it. Once the qualifying rounds left the tech, I bet the bet is unbetted. It sounds like it's supposed to be fire, but I can't quite grasp what the heck he's talking about. But fortunately, that's as cryptic as it gets for the album. And the next song is that Heater Pack, Eskimo Bros. It's worth the cost of admission by itself. The beat on this thing feels even more warped and disorienting than the first song. Mach teams up with your old Drug, and them niggas put up 2015 LeBron and Kyrie numbers. Them niggas went off. Man, they had some crazy chemistry. They went back and forth multiple times throughout the song, playing off of each other's rhyme schemes, and they also played off each other's lines a couple songs, which made for some really dope moments. I love how Drug's more straightforward punching style contrasts with Mach's more complex stream of consciousness, abstract style of rapping, but the 2 drop some gems. Like you got Mach Hommy's more drums than Holland Doja Holland line. The 2 went on an onslaught in the middle of the verse. If it was 2K, they would have definitely got a team takeover. And Pete the rhyme scheme, the folks been focusing on my scrotum since I've been poking and effing the rap game on my modem when I'm indulging it. Doberman Doggy Style Pound Town Penultimate. And that led directly into Drug's verse where he rapped, "It's sober and word around town as we rolling them and smoking them and won't simmer down the heat smoldering." Yeah, I probably could just quote any bar on this thing and it would be fire. The third track, the Paramounts, he has the God Fahim and Mach going back and forth on a similar way as he and Drill did on the last track. The melody on this thing is driven by this really tripped out bass line. I think the element I like the most about this track is Mach really leans into his Haitian accent, and because of it, he's able to pull off some pretty sick flows that I don't think would sound as good if he wasn't using his accent. The opening flow when he was rapping about his step pops that took me from a boy to a man so wrong is my father cause my body, like that flow right there was sick. And while Mach flashed a little bit of introspection in them first couple of bars, it was a bait and switch. The rest of the song is just braggadocio and some slick talk. If I got in his bag a little bit, I think he been hanging out with Mach so much the talent's starting to rub off. I'm not a fan of that nigga, but he brought it on this album. I think his verse really complimented Mach's well, and I don't think he quite rapped up to the level as Mach. I don't think he's as good of a rapper as Mach, but he really held his own on this track where they're going back and forth. Great rhyme scheme, some clever boasts from him as well. And then the last song, Leisure Earn, features another good verse from the God Fahim. This time they're rapping over the brightest beat on the album. Conductor uses these bells that drive the melody, and then you have some keys in the background providing texture, and then all this over an up-tempo, jazzy drum loop. Like I said, another solid verse from the God Fahim. He does take a little second to heat up, but once he gets into that double time flow, it's a tough flow that he got into. Mach closes the album with a somewhat melodic delivery. I wouldn't say he's singing, but he definitely has like a sing-songy type cadence. I think it goes over well, and it's a pretty dope way to close the album. But overall, man, I really enjoyed this album. There's just a ton of great lyricism and great instrumentals packed into under 10 minutes of runtime. I don't really know about $222 for a 4-song EP, but you can listen to this album for free on Mach Hommy's website, and I think it's definitely worth checking out. Overall, I'll say this album is a 7.75 out of 10 or a gentleman's 8. If Mach and Conductor decide to do a full-length project, I think they got the potential to do something really special.